Before anything begins, before a name is spoken, before a single moment has a chance to unfold into meaning, I need one small thing from you. Not for me, not for numbers, not for an algorithm that never sleeps and never cares, but for yourself. Take just a second and subscribe to this channel. Because what you're about to experience here is not something you casually watch in the background while scrolling your phone. This is not noise. This is not something you forget 5 minutes later while jumping to the next video. Some stories exist only to pass time. But some stories stay. They don't leave when the video ends. They sit quietly in your thoughts. They return when life gets silent. They show up in conversations you didn't expect. They change how you interpret people, how you interpret yourself, how you walk into your next interaction. And this is one of those stories. By the end, you won't just understand what happened. You'll understand why it had to be told like this. So let's begin. But I need to warn you. We're starting with something uncomfortable, because most people have never actually understood what confidence is. Most people believe confidence is loud. They think it's speaking without hesitation. They think it's dominating every room you enter. They think it's never second-guessing a word, never pausing, never feeling uncertain. Movies exaggerate it. Social media glamorizes it. And over time, people start believing confidence is performance. But real confidence, it's almost the opposite. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't force attention. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It simply exists. And if you don't know what to look for, you'll completely miss it. And that misunderstanding, it doesn't just confuse people. It quietly ruins how they connect with others. I didn't realize that back then. I thought I understood people. I thought I understood myself, but I was wrong. People used to look at me and assume I had it all figured out. They thought I was naturally confident. Not trying to be confident, but just born that way. Like it was effortless, automatic. They believed I walked into rooms already knowing exactly where I belonged. That I never hesitated. That I never doubted myself. That conversations somehow flowed in my direction without effort. That when I spoke, people listened because I was just that kind of person. They thought I was always in control, always composed, always sure. But they were wrong, completely wrong. Because what they never saw was everything after the moment ended. The silence, the overthinking, the replaying of conversations at 2 a.m., the questioning of every word I said, the doubt that didn't show on my face, the confusion that no one noticed. And the worst part? It wasn't loud suffering, it was quiet, heavy, invisible. I remember nights where I would sit alone with my phone in my hand, staring at conversations that once felt warm, but now felt distant, refreshing messages that never came, last texts that I kept rereading like they would magically change meaning, trying to decode silence like it was a language I should understand. But there was never a clear ending, no closure, no explanation, just distance, slow, subtle, unavoidable distance. And somehow, that hurt more than rejection ever could. Because rejection at least gives you clarity. It ends things properly. It gives you something to respond to. But this was different. This wasn't rejection. This was being overlooked. And being overlooked carries a different kind of pain. Because invisible means you were never seen. But overlooked means you were seen and still not chosen. I wasn't unattractive. I wasn't boring. I had friends. I had conversations. I had a life that looked completely normal from the outside. If someone checked my social media, they would probably think, she's fine, she's doing well, everything looks together. But inside, something kept breaking quietly. Every time I tried to build something real, every time I opened up emotionally, every time I allowed myself to believe, maybe this time, it will be different, it never was. Conversations stayed polite, dates ended early with soft excuses, messages slowed down, then disappeared. No arguments, no drama, just fading. And the worst part of fading is that it feels like it's your fault, even when no one says it out loud. I started noticing something strange. Other people, especially some women around me, weren't doing anything dramatically different. We were in the same places, same rooms, same conversations, same social circles. But the outcomes? Completely different. They would speak, and people leaned in. They would laugh, and others followed naturally. They would say something once, and weeks later people would still remember it, not because it was perfect, but because it landed differently. Meanwhile, I was analyzing everything. Every word, every pause, every facial expression, every laugh, every reaction that didn't feel right. And slowly, without realizing it, I started trying to fix myself. At first I thought it was my appearance, then my clothes, then my voice, then my expressions, then even my laughter. Yes, I even practiced how I laughed, softer, lighter, less noticeable. But then I worried it felt fake, so I changed it again and again and again, but nothing worked, because I was trying to fix the wrong problem. There's something no one really teaches you in life. Something you only learn the hard way. Attraction is not performance. It's not about impressing. It's not about saying the perfect thing. It's not about proving your worth in subtle, exhausting ways. Attraction is emotional experience. It's how someone feels in your presence, not what you say, but what you make them feel about themselves. And I didn't understand that, not until I met someone who changed everything. His name was Daniel Brooks. He didn't stand out at first. In fact, if anything, he was easy to miss. It was a friend's birthday dinner, one of those long tables where conversations overlap, laughter competes, and everyone is trying to be heard at the same time. People were performing without realizing it, talking louder than necessary, telling stories slightly bigger than reality, trying to fill every silence before it even appeared. But Daniel? He wasn't doing any of that. He wasn't competing. He wasn't performing. He wasn't trying to dominate anything. He was just there, quiet, present, observing. And somehow, he was the center of everything without trying to be. People didn't rush to him. They drifted toward him, naturally, without awareness. Men respected him without explanation. Women leaned into conversations with him without effort. Even strangers opened up to him faster than expected. And I could understand why. Because he wasn't doing anything visible. But something about him changed the atmosphere. He didn't talk much about himself. He didn't try to impress anyone. He didn't try to be interesting. Instead, he did something most people never do. He asked questions, but not normal questions. Not what do you do, not where are you from. His questions made people pause, think, reflect, feel something deeper than surface conversation. And when people answered, he actually listened, not waiting for his turn, not planning his next sentence, not distracted. He listened like the person mattered. And when Daniel looked at you, it felt different, like the world slowed down for a second, like your thoughts were safe, like you didn't need to perform, just exist. And in that moment, you felt seen, not dramatically, not emotionally overwhelming, just quietly understood. A week later, I saw him again. By chance, or maybe not. This time I didn't just observe. I asked him a question. What is your secret? He smiled, not a confident smile, not a rehearsed one, just calm, almost like he expected the question his whole life. And he said something I never forgot. Most people are so busy trying to be interesting that they forget to be interested. That sentence didn't just stay with me. It rewired how I saw everything. Because suddenly I understood. All those moments I tried too hard, all those conversations where I was focused on what to say next, all those times I believed I had to perform to be liked, I had been doing it backwards. Connection doesn't come from performance. It comes from presence. People don't remember your perfect sentences. They don't remember your clever words. They remember how they felt around you. Safe, seen, understood. And once I understood that, something inside me started shifting. Not instantly, not dramatically, but quietly. And real change almost always starts quietly. At first, it felt unnatural. Sitting in silence without trying to fill it. Listening without planning my response. Letting conversations breathe instead of controlling them. It felt wrong at first, like I was doing nothing. But slowly, something changed. The silence stopped feeling heavy. It started feeling open, and here's what no one tells you. The moment you stop trying to perform is the moment you start becoming real. And real is rare. Most people are wearing invisible masks, trying to appear more confident than they feel, more interesting than they are, more composed than they actually are. And even if no one says it, it can be felt. But when someone drops that mask, even slightly, something shifts in the room. Because authenticity is rare, and people recognize it instantly. Over time, I noticed something unexpected. Conversations lasted longer. People opened up more. They shared things they normally wouldn't. Not because I became more impressive, but because I became more present. And that's when it finally clicked. Confidence isn't about being the most interesting person in the room. It's about making others feel interesting in your presence. And when you understand that, you stop chasing attention, because you don't need it anymore. You create connection instead. And connection is what people never forget. So the next time you walk into a room, don't perform, don't impress, don't prove anything. Just be there, be curious, be present. Because in a world full of people trying to be seen, the one who actually sees others becomes unforgettable. And now you understand why this story could only be told this way. After that moment, something subtle changed in me. Not overnight, not dramatically, but in a way that I could feel more than explain. I stopped walking into conversations trying to win them. I stopped thinking about what I needed to say next. And slowly, I started noticing something I had never paid attention to before. People weren't responding to my words as much as I thought they were. They were responding to my energy, to my presence, to whether I was actually there or just performing. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. The first time I truly tested it without realizing, it felt uncomfortable. I remember sitting with someone I used to overthink conversations with. Normally, I would plan everything, every sentence, every reaction, every possible silence I might need to fill. But this time, I didn't. I just stayed present. I listened, really listened, not waiting for my turn, not trying to impress. Just being there, and something strange happened. The conversation didn't die. It expanded. The more I listened, the more they spoke. The more comfortable they became. The more real the conversation got. And for the first time, I wasn't carrying the interaction. I was sharing it. That's when I understood something deeper. Most people think social success is about what you bring into a conversation, but it's actually about what you remove. You remove pressure. You remove judgment. You remove the need to perform. And in that space, people start to feel safe. And when people feel safe, they open up. They stay. They connect. But here's the part no one talks about. When you change like this, not everyone responds the same way. Some people won't understand it. Some people are used to the version of you that was chasing, trying, overthinking. And when you stop doing that, you confuse them. Because you're no longer feeding the same dynamic. And strangely, that's where clarity begins. Because the right people don't get confused by your calm. They get closer to it. I started noticing it everywhere. Some conversations faded naturally. No tension, no drama, just distance. But others became deeper than anything I'd experienced before. People started opening up without me asking too much. Silences became comfortable instead of awkward. And I realized something I wish I had learned earlier. You don't build connection by speaking more. You build it by making space. And Daniel's words kept coming back to me. Most people are so busy trying to be interesting that they forget to be interested. I finally understood what he meant. Because when you're trying to be interesting, you are focused on yourself. But when you are interested, you disappear a little. And in that disappearance, others finally appear fully. One evening, months later, I found myself alone again. But this time, it didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel like confusion. It felt quiet, clear. I thought about all the moments I used to overanalyze. All the nights I replayed conversations that meant nothing to anyone else. All the times I thought I wasn't enough, just because something didn't last. And I realized something simple, but powerful. I was never actually lacking anything. I was just trying to control something that was never meant to be controlled. People, perception, connection. You can't force connection. You can't perform your way into being remembered. You can't become someone by trying to act like someone else. Because people don't remember your effort. They remember how they felt around you. And that's when everything finally made sense. Confidence was never what I thought it was. It was never about being loud, or dominant, or perfect. It was about being present without fear. It was about being comfortable enough in yourself that you don't need to escape into performance. It was about allowing silence to exist without rushing to fix it. And strangely, once you stop chasing connection, you start attracting it. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped hiding it. I never saw Daniel again after that, but I didn't need to, because he had already done what most people never manage to do in someone else's life. He didn't impress me. He didn't teach me through lectures. He didn't try to change me. He simply existed in a way that made me question everything I thought I understood. And sometimes, that's enough to change a person forever. So if you're listening to this right now, and you've ever felt like you were trying too hard, overthinking too much, or wondering why things don't last the way you want them to, maybe the answer isn't to do more. Maybe it's to stop performing and start being present, really present, because the moment you stop trying to be seen is the moment people finally start seeing you. And that's where this story ends. Not with a big dramatic change, not with perfection, but with understanding. Quiet, simple, real. And now you know what I didn't know back then. Sometimes the most powerful version of you is the one that stops trying to prove anything at all.